Look, this layer is the innermost layer. I have told you here that this layer is the endothelial layer. It is made up of endothelial cells, and these cells may have different shapes, and these are the cells which are in direct. So all of you know that we have here blood. So these cells are in direct contact with the blood, right? Okay, this is the endothelium. Beneath the endothelium, this red line, if you can see clear in the camera, this red line is our basement membrane, right? I have made it a little bit thin here. So this red line represents what? This represents the basement membrane. So this is our basement membrane, right? This red line. Outer to basement membrane, we have our subendothelial layer. Okay, here we have our subendothelial layer, right? So you can see here that this layer is made up of these green fibers which are called collagen fibers, and they also have these purple lines. These are elastic fibers, right? And these are some cells. I will tell you about these cells. These are some smooth muscle cells, right? So let us put it also here. Okay, this is the second layer. Rather, I would say that this is the third layer. What is this layer? Endothelium. Then there is this red line, basement membrane, and then this is subendothelial layer. So subendothelial layer is made up of collagen fibers, connective tissue, collagen fibers, elastic fibers, and these are some smooth muscle cells also. So let me write it here as some smooth muscle cells also. Okay, this is very simple representation. Okay, then there is the outermost of these four layers, and that is the inner elastic lamina. So this is our inner elastic lamina, right? You can see here we have some collagen fibers, some elastic fibers are present, and if you can see here in this sketch that there are some small openings. Look, these are some small openings. These openings are used for exchange of substances between inner layers and outer layers, right? So I have told you about these openings there, that these openings are used. So these openings are used for diffusion of different substances between the inner layers and outer layers, right? So this is the inner, I have written here, inner elastic lamina, right? So let me put it here also so that we could cover all the four subtunics or all the four sublayers of the tunica interna, right? So this is our tunica interna. Now we can see here that our tunica interna, these whole four layers constitute the tunica interna of the layers of the blood vessels, right? So all these four layers are considered to be one layer. That's why we say that there are two more layers, right? So this one is the, yes, endothelium. This red line is the basement membrane. Then there is subendothelial layer, right? And then there is inner elastic lamina, right? So all these four layers are the sublayers of the inner coat. Clear, friends? Okay, now let's move towards the tunica media. Tunica media. So let me discuss about tunica media and its composition. The second layer, tunica media, or this layer is also known as middle layer. is also known as middle layer. It is the layer in between tunica externa and tunica interna. Right. About this layer we can say that it is a muscular layer. It is a muscular layer. Okay. So it means that this layer has smooth muscles, a lot of smooth muscles. Right. That's why we say that this layer is a muscular layer, and this muscular layer also has some connective tissues in between, connective tissue, and this muscular layer also have some collagen fibers surrounding these muscles. Some collagen fibers are also present there. We are talking about the structure and composition, right? Some collagen fibers, and we also know that there are some elastic fibers also. Elastic fibers are also present. So we see that this tunica media is the thicker layer. It is the thickest layer. I would write it here. It is the thicker layer, and it is also known as the muscular layer. With these smooth muscles, this layer also has some collagen fibers and some elastic fibers also, right? So this layer, as it is made up of a lot of smooth muscles, so all the contractility and relaxability of these blood vessels are controlled by this layer, right? So we can say that this layer is responsible for vasoconstriction and vasodilation. Right, as it is made up of smooth muscles. So smooth muscles show the property of contractility and relaxability. So when these smooth muscles contract, whole this lumen will contract, right, and will become smaller. The lumen will become narrow and smaller, and whenever they relax, so the lumen will become dilated, the blood vessels will become dilated. So vasoconstriction and vasodilation of these blood vessels is mostly performed by this middle layer, that is tunica media. Okay friends, now let me put this tunica media around this tunica interna. Okay, this is our tunica media. Okay, I hope this could give you some help in understanding the whole process, the whole structure. So this is our tunica media around the tunica interna. Now you can see here that this layer is mostly composed of smooth muscles, right? All these are the smooth muscle cells, right? And these blue lines, these purple lines, if you can see, these are some collagen fibers also present, and these green lines also some elastic fibers, right? So this tunica media is composed of, I have written here that this is a muscular layer, so it contains a lot of smooth muscles, right? And with the smooth muscles, they also contain some collagen fibers embedding and some elastic fibers also. Now look here, whenever these smooth muscles will contract, so their diameter will become less and they will push the tunica interna towards inside, so the lumen could become narrower, right? So this smooth muscle layer or this tunica media is responsible for vasodilation and vasoconstriction of the blood vessels, right? So this was about the tunica media. Now let's move towards the tunica externa. Tunica externa, and the last layer, the outer layer. Tunica externa. Or this layer is also known as adventitia. Or outer layer or coat. Okay, so tunica externa is also known as tunica adventitia or outer layer or outer coat of these blood vessels. I will put it a little after. First of all, we go into detail of this, what is it composed of. Friends, this tunica externa is mostly protective in nature, right? It is mostly protective in nature, so it contains a lot of collagen fibers. It also contains a lot of elastic fibers, and some fat cells are also there. Then we have the most important things, that these are called the vasa vasorum. And what are these? I will tell you now. Vasa vasorum. And then there are nerves. Nerves are also there, right? So in this layer, the tunica externa, it contains collagen fibers, elastic fibers, some fat cells, and the vasa vasorum, the vessels of vessels, right? Vessels of vessels. Now listen carefully, what are their duty? The vessels of vessels. Whenever I put that tunica externa here, so I will tell you about the vessels of vessels, that what does it mean, right? Now let me put this tunica externa. This is our tunica externa. Okay, I hope you get something from this layer also. Now look carefully. Tunica interna, it is made up of 4 sublayers. Yes, endothelium, basement membrane, subendothelial layer, and this inner elastic lamina. Then there is tunica media, it is a muscular layer, and then there is tunica externa, and as you can see that these are the collagen fibers, I have written here. Then there are these purple lines are the elastic fibers, and you can see here these are some fat cells, right? Fat cells are also there, and these yellow lines or these yellow cells, as you can see, these are our nerves, neurons present here, right? And look here, these red vessels, small vessels, these are called the vasa vasorum or vessels of the vessels. Now look carefully, in large arteries or large veins, right? These smooth muscles have many layers, and these smooth muscles have to be supplied with oxygenated blood and nutrients. So all these layers, this inner layer gets its nutrition from inside also, and as they have thick walls, they have much thickness, so they cannot fulfill their need from the inner side, so they are provided from outer side also with oxygenated blood and food substances, right? So these small vessels which are present inside the walls of blood vessels, listen carefully, these small blood vessels, you can see these red vessels, these small vessels are present within the vessel walls. That's why we call them vasa vasorum or vessels of the vessels. Big arteries, big veins which have big thickness, lot thickness, they need more nutrition from inside and also from outside. So from inside they absorb nutrients through diffusion, and from outside they are supplied with oxygenated blood and nutrition from the tunica externa. So in this tunica externa we have these veins also, small veins, and we have these arteries also, and these are the vessels of the vessels. They are to provide the food substances to the walls of these blood vessels, right? So we see here, look, neurons are present there, right? So that they could make the connection between nervous system and these walls, right? So these neurons are present here to provide action potential for vasoconstriction and vasodilation. Okay, so then there are some elastic fibers and collagen fibers are also present here. I have mentioned, look carefully. Now let us sum up our lecture here, that blood vessels, generally talking, that blood vessels are of 3 types: arteries, veins and capillaries. Here I haven't talked about capillaries, we will have different lecture on that. Here we have lecture just on the walls of arteries or veins, right? So we have represented it in a sketch that all the blood vessels, either arteries or veins, they are made up of 3 layers or tunics. These 3 layers are tunica interna, tunica media and tunica externa. Tunica interna is made up of 4 sublayers. Tunica media is a thick layer which is muscular layer, and tunica externa is the protective layer, and it contains vasa vasorum, small vessels, collagen fibers, elastic fibers, neurons are distributed in the tunica externa. So friends, this was very simple about the structure of the walls of blood vessels. They may be arteries or veins. In the next lectures we will discuss about the types of arteries, and we will proceed towards the capillaries in the coming lectures. Friends, it's a humble request that if you like our lectures, please subscribe our channel. Thank you so much.